Hey everybody, this is Miss Bales, and I just wanted to talk to you today about questions to ask after reading with your child. When we send these, books home with your student, and they read them, and you might ask, well, what do I do next? And there's something that we want to work on, and that's comprehension. And so to help them with comprehension, we have some questions that you can ask them after they read. So looking at this book, My Family, it's an example of a book that you might see sent home with your student. So there are three types of questions that you can ask your student. One is within the text questions, and these have answers that are directly in the book. So you can open up the book and find the answer right there on the page. Another is beyond the text questions, which have answers that require more in-depth thinking about the book and the topics. And then the third is about the text questions, and those have answers that require making connections to themselves or other books. So let's start with within text questions. Like I said, these are questions that you can ask that have the answers right there in the book. So one thing in kindergarten that's great to ask your student is when they finish reading to you, encourage them to open back up the book and go through each event that took place. And you can say to them, tell me all the things that happened in the story. So for example, with My Family, it's about all the bunny's family members and the things that they like to do. So you could say, can you tell me all the things the family members like to do? And your student can open to the very first page and look at the pictures and retell or tell all the things that happened in the story. And so that's a good example of a within the text question that we want them to be able to do, to tell all the things in the story or retell. The next type of question would be a beyond the text question. And so these questions have answers that they really have to think about. So they're not necessarily found within the pages of the book. So for example, you can say, turn to page 9 for me, or, open it up to a random page and have them look at the picture. You can say, how do you think Bunny feels about her family members? And this is a how do you think she feels, because the book doesn't tell them, she feels happy, she feels sad. And so they can look, encourage them if they're stuck, encourage them to look at Bunny's face. So they might say something like happy or good. And so encourage them to give more details too. How do you know that they're happy? Might be a good question. And they can say something like, I see the smile on her face. She enjoys spending time with her brother because I see that she has a smile on her face. And so that is a good answer. They're able to think about the picture alongside the book. And then lastly, we want to think about the text questions. So this is a type of question where connections are made. It's a good idea to ask your child to make a connection to another story that they've read before or to themselves. So what that means is simply you can say something like, how are you like the character in this story? So you can say, how are you and Bunny alike, or how are you the same? And we want them to answer in a way that, both your child and the characters are the same, to make that connection. So for example, they could say something like, well, Bunny and I are the same, or we're alike because we both have families. And I also like to spend time with my family. And that right there is a great connection that they've made. They made a connection to the character in the book, and they were able to really go further with their comprehension and understanding of the book by making that connection. And so just if you have any questions about other things that you can do to help your child with comprehension or asking questions, you can reach out to any of the teachers on Remind or through our emails.